third Saturday Poetry in Chinatown. I'm Clara Sue, and I have to say that this is one of the events that I look forward to every month because I love to listen to poetry. I love seeing poets in this space, using this space. And so I would usually start with a poem, and Yinga, if I can have also a glass.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Always forgetting it myself. And because we're going to make a toast to all the dead poets and the live poets, especially today.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Okay, so this is a Chinese poem written in the Tang Dynasty by the poet Wang Wei. And I'll read it in Cantonese and then in English. 祝你本，獨坐幽篁裏，彈琴復長嘯。森林人不知，明月來相照。Sitting among the shaded bamboo, playing chin and howling. Deep in the woods, no one knows. The moon comes shining. So here's to all the dead poets and the live poets and the longevity of poetry in Chinatown. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. And we'll have our wonderful curator, Greg Pond.
Thank you. Welcome everybody. Great to have you this Saturday afternoon. And we have a wonderful program with two very special features. We have César Love in the house, and we have Beth Copeland. And there's a family connection there. We're going to start off with a few open mics, and we don't have too many people here, so that are listed, that are on the sign-up. So we may go another round if time permits. So we'll see how it goes. But we're going to start off with the first few, and then we'll have our first features. So we're going to start off with Bernard, followed by Marvin, and then Yolanda. So Bernard, step up. Oh, one more thing before we get started. Cell phones. Have a cell phone, please turn it on, turn it down, turn it off, or low volume, whatever we need to do. And also, when you read, you get a ceremonial pen. So make sure that you stop, and I'll have the pens there ready for you after your reading. So, Bernard, step up.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Last month was my first visit here, and I really enjoyed it, hearing all the different voices and different people. And so I just had to come back and try it again. This first one is titled Remembering Fort Ross on the Summer Solstice, 2015. Probably most of you are familiar with where Fort Ross is, on the Sonoma coast. I came here the first time as a small boy, surf fishing with my father at Jenner by the Bay. Jenner by the Sea. The fort was neglected and unkept. It was the Cold War 50s of air raid alerts and bomb shelters. The fort felt strangely ghostly, and anxiety filled me, thinking Russians lived here in the forest by the ocean. Godless, evil, frightening Russians. They wanted to take over the world. I read this in the local Concord Gazette newspaper where I lived, while searching for my Little League baseball scores. That's all I wanted. The fort looked like my plastic toy cavalry set I played cowboys and Indians with in the backyard. There was a stockade surrounded by high timber wood walls. Years later, in 1970, I returned as a young man with my girlfriend. We were two wandering souls, rudderless baby boomers, shipwrecked with the peace and love lost idealism of the 60s counterculture. The fort was still run down and in disrepair. We camped below the bluff off the dirt road where a creek emptied into a small cove. We slept on the ground, stayed up late listening to the ocean, gazing at stars. The next morning, park rangers and the sheriff woke us at twilight, red lights flashing on their trucks. There was smoke rising from the cliffs above us. Someone had set fire to the wooden chapel during the night and graffitied, "We hate commies," on the fort's wooden walls. The officers checked our IDs, asked us if we had seen anything. Then they told us to leave. Instantly, we threw our sleeping bags into the VW Bug, sputtered up the dirt road to the coast highway, and vanished. Today is the summer solstice, 2015. The fort has been rebuilt. Controversy surrounds the restoration. No onion dome, too Americanized. The Cold War has gone and come again once more. Peace and love is nothing but a lost, naive, commodified caricature of the 60s. There's a parking lot and comfortable visitor center next to the cypress grove. In the last of the afternoon sunlight, I watch a covey of quail feed near the wooden windmill. All but the largest male scurry away in danger when I walk near. The bold bird gives back my stare, top knot quivering on his head. He looks to see if his covey is safe, slowly moves off, disappearing into the brush after them. On the bluff, I see people gazing out across the wide ocean. There's no fog today. These people appear small against the great immensity of the water. I can almost feel the curvature of the globe bend, circle around in a sphere, return to where we stand as one single planet. Crows circle and glide on the updrift above our heads. Or are they buzzards? I recall the uneasy feeling of my past visits. Today, it is nice. It's a peaceful place today to stop and rest while the sun goes down over the Pacific. This time of year, on the longest day, it sits peacefully far off in the northwest on the other side of the world. Maybe, just maybe, somewhere over Vladivostok, Russia, it's rising peacefully. This one's called In Praise of Women Muni Bus Drivers. I love Muni women bus drivers. I love the colored scarves they wear, the thermoses full of coffee or tea they carry on and off the bus. I love the way they share a word or two with their sister drivers when they change shifts at the corner. I praise how they let the bad manners of senseless complaints from riders slide off their backs. How they shoulder the burden of perfection demanded by so many. I love the way they grip the big steering wheel and maneuver around double-parked SUVs, BMWs, Teslas, and robot cars to bring abuela and nene home from their doctor's appointment. I love their courage to open the door, ready to face the world of the unexpected. An arc for baby carriages, junior high skateboarders, graffiti, and the forsaken all together. Faring the world of the ungated community every day. I love how they latch onto bicycles, level the playing field for wheelchairs. I love their warm smiles and their "you're welcome" when people say thank you as they exit, having been carried to their destination. Even when they have a bad day and feel somber, like all of us do from time to time, they are beautiful in their melancholy mask. I love the way they wave to their fellow men drivers as they pass on the narrow street. I praise the way they wait to let you cross in front of them before they move on with that oh so sweet nod of their head. I love their ebony, immaculate hair, descendants of Queen Calafia. I love how they acknowledge the regulars on their routes, even know them by name. I praise them for shouldering the role of scapegoat to everyone's troubles, everyone's gripe, even though being an easy target is not a job description and is never put on the table at contract negotiation time. I praise these women for their strength, their staunch minds and muscle. I praise them for navigating these perilous streets with their kinetic intelligence. I know they have brought me and my fellow riders together in our community, common humanity, even sitting there, staring, doing nothing, speechless. I love women muni bus drivers. Thank you. Thanks.
Next up, we'll have Marvin Ernstler.
I have two autumnal poems. First one, introduced by this tiny little paragraph in 12 point, which is also in italics, and says, a Spanish winery just discovered that grapes picked under a full moon produce the finest wine. Title of the poem is Moon Pick. Next time you raise your glass, kiss the grape like you kiss your beloved squeeze in the moonlight. Hungry owl in the pine wakes up furious. Owl is not fond of moons. Tan claws for what? Mice sleep in with grape pickers afoot. No silent winged snack swoop down the old vine road tonight. Owl is beside herself on the branch. Ever heard an owl curse the darkness? In the moonlight, the grapes are hand-picked tenderly. Words echo up the mountain slope. The moonlight clusters of pearls glow in my hand. The moonlight light, lover waits for me to return just before dawn. In the moonlight, I remember everything. In the moonlight, each grape is a universe. Okay, this is titled Three Poet Frogs About to Cook. It's a balmy early morning out the pond, quiet, except a lazy fly snores and a hungry toad dreams she swallows the entire universe with only one group. The three poet frogs always wake up early to chat before those shameless dragonflies shatter the serenity absolute. Lascivious flybys and come hither tale English. Attempted poeticide is everyday stuff. This one. Someone tried to push me off my favorite lily pad yesterday. I almost croaked. But there's Poet Frog the First, a serious Shakespearean sonnet snob. You're just too sensitive for your own A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, G, G, B, more accessible. Croaks Poet Frog the Second, the one with a ton to watch out for. I want a world to find my poems juicy. Go put down, hold delicious. Poet Frog the Third rolls his wise eyes, chants his omniscient dry or wet, omnipotent credo. Never indulge in a single syllable without a kind and exhilarating purpose. That includes your final croak. A frisky dragonfly gets fresh with the air. Morning opens. Three poet frogs sleep in late and put their croaks on hold. Thank you.
And Yolanda is the next poet.
Thank you.
Thank you. July 2021. At the doctor's yellow orange underlined tells me July. Say date of my birthday of my daughter is June 25. Correct. With the malice in yellow orange voice, I hesitate. Worried, scared, having come to know what June 25 symbolizes life. I told my doctor my daughter was born June 22, September 13, 2021. I got hit by a car driven by a young 20-year-old black girl dressed all in black in a white new Nissan. The cops were there soon. I didn't call the police. Someone having seen me laying on the crosswalk must have called the police. Police. Black technology. My daughter said, probably in 3 years you'll know the consequences. 2 years later, June 19, June 25th, pain on my right knee when I walk. X-ray sonogram reveal arthritis, cartilage problem. Cartilage. I'm quote unquote fortunate. Injections needed, surgery not yet. My insurance doesn't cover it. Wow. Next. Specialist doctors referred by regular doctor. When I see him, I recognize him from community meetings. His assistant tells me that the doctor is going to give me pre-sample injections good for a year. My regular doctor tells me daily exercises help. No diets, no food, no calcium. Yellow 2. Roman numeral 2. Yellow lines, speaker talking, bow. truth, etc. Yellow lines on the road, painted by all of us, what speaker says, talking about Gaza, that the killing of children never justified. Reading Jack Hirschman's last arcane up to page halfway through the book. Not one poem yet about Philistina, which in his previous arcane he wrote about. Honest Jack Hirschman, communist to the end. Attending, shouting, freedom, free Palestine, I doubt, I hesitate, I wonder about the wisdom of Joseph Stalin advocating for via Gromyko, about the state of Israel and the United Nations. Free, remember we're free. You're going to tell me my time is up at microphone. Jack, my friend, my shield, true shall be remembered, your truth shall be remembered and repeated. I didn't come last week because I was bitten by a dog September 20th, so that was a Wednesday and Saturday. I had to go call conference 6 times a day, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. The Saturday before that, I was having to celebrate my 73rd birthday. This place is going to be closed next month. From the June, well, Chinatown is going to be closed. They're going to close from November 11 to November 18 for the APEC, Asian Pacific Economic Congress or something.
Well, I think I will share a poem of mine, and then we will have our first of our 2 features. This is entitled Washington Disregard, and I wrote this I guess about a year ago, maybe a year and a half. Members of Washington's Congress say they care and want to address the needs of those most marginalized. But we realize they're just telling lies because they rarely honor their promises to do anything for the working class, communities of color, the homeless, or the poor. Politicians may talk a good talk about the perils of tariffs and trade, or whether there's such a thing as systemic racism or climate change. But that won't provide anyone a door to keep them safe from danger or ensure the basic things they need to get them through the day. Do they ever ask that despite attempts at prison reform, why in this land of the free are there so many black men stuck on prison farms and in penitentiaries? Or why there are disabled people who have to sleep on the street with nowhere to stay, raiding trash cans every day in search of something to eat? Or why a homeless camp exists under every major and minor city's freeway, on-ramp, overpass, or bridge? It seems Washington and the ruling class only care about those who attend rallies and send donations to support their brand, while dissing and dismissing those so in need. They can barely hold a sign by the road and extend an empty hand. But should we expect any more from a bunch of elitists so deep in greed, they simply don't give a damn? Thank you. All right, now, first of our 2 features. César Love. César Love is a Latinx poet influenced by the Asian masters. A native of San Francisco Bay Area, he's the author of 2 books of poetry, while Bees Sleep and Birthright. César is also co-editor of the Haight Ashbury Literary Journal, which I had the honor of being featured in a few years ago. His favorite neighborhood in San Francisco has always been Chinatown. Please welcome to the stage, César Love.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Clara. And yeah, shout out to my family who was able to come here. What's going on, Amelia? Too many family members to be able to mention. Sorry, but this is wonderful that we got here. And so I've got some poems. Let me get comfortable. So my first poem's, okay, let me describe the situation. You know, I was in the laundromat, and nothing made sense, and then suddenly everything made sense. Just had an epiphany in the laundromat, decided to write about it. This is called Spin Cycle. It's got a line from Yeats. Things fall apart, the center cannot hold. No peace at the neighborhood laundromat. My wet clothes are a psychotic spiral. My jeans, my shirts, my socks, my underwear. Round and round with centrifugal force. The washing machine has no anchor. Its metal feet leave the laundromat floor. The monster leans right, its left feet rise. The monster leans left, its right feet find air. Its door about to burst, the hinges unfast. Its portal glass ready to shatter. My wet clothes soon to scatter. Closer to me, another gyre. A band of flies circle an invisible center. These are insects, despised, swatted. Nonetheless, they are a tribe with purpose. Together they follow a secret music. Their circle, a parody of the Viennese waltz. Their circle, a mockery of the solar system. Outside the laundry, untethered minds careen through the city. Untethered minds assault the nation. Toxic thoughts pinball through their heads. Octane words gun from their mouths. Yet here in the laundromat, away from the washer, closer to the dryers, a mother is folding socks. She matches them by color, by size, by child. A calculus simpler than the physics of any washing machine. Yes, the falcon cannot hear the falconer, but here in the laundromat, the center holds. A mother is folding socks. So we're here in Chinatown, and recently I was doing a series of tribute poets to the great Chinese poet Li Po, and I'm going to read a couple of them. This one's called Moonlight at Noon. It starts with an epigraph of Li Po. The moon, my shadow, and I make three. I would bake on this planet, if not for the moon I invited. She agreed to let me keep her tucked beneath my blouse, her cool face against my belly. I lounge in her quiet. I swim in her well. I bloom in her sanity. The moon brought me a friend, one who used to follow me. She mimicked my every movement. At first she flattered me, then she mocked me. Finally, she ran away. I screamed at her, "Come back here." I tried to put a leash on her, but she was too smart. I threw a plum at her. Of course, she threw one back at me. We did this for months. Then the moon told me her name. And this poem's called In Search of Li Po. You wrote many poems of faraway friends. I like to imagine I am one of them. When you travel, the two of us mail each other poems. When you are in town, the two of us are raucous poets in a tavern. We order rounds, We curse the hack writers who get government jobs. We stagger to the street and toast the moon. I do not read your language. Translations of your poems leave me thirsty, leave me lonely. I do not find what I seek in them. I do not find. Like you, my friend, whom I long to chance upon at the corner bar. Your poems are a jug of wine that I cannot open. Promise me a corkscrew, my friend. Toss it to me over the ocean. Marvin, I love the word you use, autumnal. I'm going to use it to describe this poem. This is an autumnal poem. It's called A Knife-Line of Autumn. 4 o'clock in October, the sun's savage hour, in the month of the merciless colors. The hour that tortures doves, when the sun hurls its cruelest of hues, colors gashing like obsidian blades. 4 o'clock in October, the sun's angle of acid, throwing hues rapacious and hungry. A blade to your eye, its white wall spray painted, its mirrors cracked, your pastels violated. 4 o'clock in October, the hour to shelter in place. Draw your curtain, pull your shade, or your blood becomes paint. 4 o'clock in October, lethal prism of the equinox, violence of the rainbow. This is my queer poem, realizing I'm going to need to write more. It's called Flavor of Lemon. Bake your pie of lemon. Invite the forbidden one over. There is no time for plates and silverware. Eat it with her as fast as you can. Destroy the evidence. Before she leaves, lick every crumb from her face. Cupid's dark twin hands you the handsome fruit. He tells you, smell it. Isn't this exquisite? I dare you to taste it. But if you like it, if you want more, laws will be passed against you. In a ball of innocent yellow, a flavor that strips your varnish. This is the taste of love's confusion. This is the taste of love's certainty. His nakedness that begs for sugar clothes. The sky will rain sour. No umbrella, no lifeboat. The lifeguards laugh. You must drown. Then bake your pie. Savor the last slice. Savor the last slice. Okay, this one's called Cheekbones. The handsome native. His cheekbones are not chiseled. He is not made of granite. He is not made of marble. The handsome native. His cheekbones are flesh and blood. They have felt hurricanes. They have met tornadoes. The handsome native. His face fathoms all weather. He has withstood hatred. He has withstood other small winds. Clara, I actually wrote this poem here in one of your workshops. So I was going through it and I thought, oh yeah, it was a workshop right in this very room. So it's called Orange. I think you were serving orange slices and I was inspired by that. So, in the grocery store aisle, one belly button orange with a scar, others pristine, unblemished, others soon to be sold. Between perfect sisters, one unbidden sphere, branded by 2 discolored inches, not to be held, not to be tasted. A globe passed over, oceans never plunged, forests never inhaled, landscapes never painted. A world unfathomed with a navel and a canyon scar. Is the canyon east or west, north or south? Perhaps along her belly or across her breast, maybe against her cheek. Do you have any librarians in the room? Have at least a couple? One, okay. So, yeah, I was just thinking about libraries and strange libraries and came up with this poem. It's called Wet Library Card. Before you visit, learn to breathe the dark water. Learn to withstand the weight of an ocean. Before you visit, look hard in the mirror. Look so hard you grow a flashlight on your forehead. Look so hard you become ugly as an anglerfish. A head bigger than your body, a scowl frozen, your teeth vicious, unbrushable. Anchor yourself to your heaviest torment. Sink. Welcome to the library of horror, entombed on the ocean floor. Its architecture is ghastly, its lighting miserable. They will issue you a library card with this warning on the back. Here are books as scary as your secrets. Here are books as dark as your fantasies. Take any book you can float to the surface. Steep fines for late returns. Violent fines for not reading. Your book list tattooed to your arm. Okay, this poem's called Still Lost. Today, I found my jacket. It had fallen from a hanger in my closet. Yesterday, I found my glasses. They were spread on my kitchen table. The day before, I found the overdue library book. It had dropped behind my bookshelf. The day before, I found my keys. They were lolling below my desk. Still lost. The lyrics to that song. Maybe they lie on the floor of my closet. Still lost. My philosophy. Maybe it's sprawled on my kitchen table. Still lost. My train of thought. Maybe it hides behind my bookshelf. Still lost. My way. Maybe it lurks below my desk. And this poem's called Photographs Not Taken. These days we take pictures of everything, but some things don't get photographed. Not the selfie before the pyramid, not the banquet where we ate and gorged. The falcons in formation above your chimney. The crime you witnessed, but your testimony was ignored. That lakeside stroll when sunset rays revealed her truest beauty. Maybe you had a camera but were too in awe. It never became a photo. Now it's a minor regret. Somewhere in the head's rear lobe, snapshot memories keep in Kodachrome. Some are stored in black and white, some in sepia tone. There they fade like everything else. Finally, you are cremated. Your mind's gallery turns ash. Then they become something to touch. Each picture a shingle on the scales of the wings of your moth. Thank you. I got a couple more, I think. Okay. This one's called, I Hear These Men. It goes out to gentlemen a little older than myself. They are over 70, often bearded. It is not their recollection or their wisdom I listen for. It is something in their voice. Not their accents or their brogues, although many have them. It is the timbre of their voice and the load within. the echo of love disconsolate, and the echo of love recovered. A walk through the forest charred, and a walk through the forest saved. The rumble that knows of wars, that knows of passings, wind that has witnessed presidents burst forth, and presidents wither. Chords of the outdoors, the aspiration of the interstates, the wingspans of seagulls, chords of the indoors, the wit of the parlor, the whisper of the chamber, instruments bequeathed by every decade, an orchestra at play somewhere near the quarry of time. I've got one more. It's called the Poet's Tent. North or south she travels, always with her tent. On chosen grounds, she slides its rods into the earth. She places her cloth on its frame, a cloth she imagined, something like a Mexican rebozo, something like an Amish quilt, a cloth that exchanges colors, that switches lattice work, cloth that vibrates to the heartbeat of deer, cloth that answers the whispers of trees. The poet smooths the floor. Psychic knots fall to her carpet. Abandoned theories, dropped desires, jettisoned memories. Without chairs, they sit on her floor, soon to become feral opals, protean metals, iris crystals. She prepares the floor. Butterflies of every stripe arrive. Okay, I think I'm getting this one. Thanks so much, Greg.
From Bees, there you go. All right. One more again for César Love. That was okay. We're going to continue on with some more open mics, but I just want to first thank all the wonderful people who are here today who did not sign up to read. They're just here to support the poets and to enjoy the poetry. Thank you so much for coming out. Really appreciate it. Okay, next up we'll have Belafonte, followed by Bonnie, and then MSHB. So Belafonte.
Would you like a chair?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Right. What's up?
My name is Belafonte. This is maybe my third or fourth time coming here. You guys have been very beneficial. I'm working on a show called Black Man. I've been able to take bits of pizza and do it here. So thank you. We would travel from Roxbury to Harlem to Fillmore and Chinatown, but they all been ridiculed. Crisp as black coffee cake fried, or maybe get on a melody of Coltrane or Monk, meanings. So we've been in our own conversation to the sounds of donuts bopping over lonesome music, beat buckets, mops, and espressos, and elevators take us to the deep top. You question day, and the blues questions night. We say who's jazz or who's Milt Jackson. Sad, you ain't got soul to beat if it's another chord or note hung outside the drive. Adding a new time, sings of 4 to 4, 2 to 2, for we travel, walking the cool to the beat of a different drum. Step light, no fries, no freaks, no barking sisters, no hungry hounds, no bullet crazy brothers, no props to pit, no craps to shoot, no cops, and no gas heads, and no jive. So step lightly, no screaming babies in the cold, and no roll down elevators to pick our nose. No Cadillacs on empty, even a Buick to ride. Instead, with some boppers, blackest men of them all. Belafonte, the hood, the spook in the hood so misunderstood. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but guns will kill you and me. So what's it gonna be? Dead man can't talk no more. Many brothers in prison only wish they had listened. Foolish young black man in this grave, give it another chance, might just be hell. Nigga, 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 makes me mad. Nigga, 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 it's a name that brought me shame, brought us shame. This isn't no game, but it's time to give game. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but they should never hurt me or you. So what's it gonna be? It's Barbara Lee for me. Barbara Lee and Audrey LaBrie speak for me. Barbara Lee speaks for me, so voting will set you free. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bonnie's up next, followed by MSHB.
Stand. We might just need this raised a bit. Thank you. I'm going to read 3 glosas. What glosas are is you take an epigraph from a poet's poem, and with each of the lines you have to rhyme lines 6, 9, and 10 as the end word in each stanza. So they're a little challenging to write, but I've been writing them for about 3 years now. And my first one, the epigraph is from a poet named Jude Neal, who lives in Bowen Island, BC. And the epigraph is, in the kitchen window at twilight, the waxy reflection of purple. Begonias grows from the wet nest of my mouth. And it's from her poem, Still Life. And my poem's called Purple Wishes. We dream of each other during the day and when we are asleep. I look forward to when we can share romantic flights to San Francisco and Hawaii. Golden Gate Bridge, Pacific Ocean, wine dinners, starlit nights, in the kitchen window at twilight. Although we miss each other when we are apart, we feel so close no matter where we are. A future with you would never be dull. Times that I spend together with you will always glow, the waxy reflection of purple. We write of our lights, may these come true. Images of rabbits, lions, tigers abound. Our love for each other continually grows. To spend our future with each other would naturally flow as begonias grow. You bring out the better in me. We both make the effort time to meet, to connect when our times allow. There are reasons, ways that I love you. I have shown you how from the wetness of my mouth. And the second one, it's from a poet named Nikki Giovanni's poems epigraph, and her poem's called The 10th Planet, and the epigraph is, it's the evening air and the sound of the birds and the loving smile from you. And the poem's called It's, and it's about living in Vancouver, where I'm from. It's the area where I can walk to restaurants, shops, with Kids Beach and Granville Island nearby. It's the parklet where one can drink, a purple bench, a memorial bench I can sit on any time of the year. It's the evening air which cools me down after a hot summer day. It's having you as a friend with whom I can talk with each day. It's our shared words, the ease which we feel around each other. It's our mutual pleasures and the sound of the birds. Waking me each morning during spring and summer, it's our acceptance that we appreciate each other. The fact that I like you, there is no denial. It's the things we do together, our talks, that makes existing worthwhile, and the loving smile, which releases endorphins. It's the fate which brought us together several years later. It's your beautiful eyes of blue, your attentiveness. I always appreciate the wines and spiced cashews I receive from you. it's also a glosa, and I wrote it for a poetry event in Vancouver on September 24th. The poetry event was called Bao, as in the buns, and Brew, as in tea. And I called it Chinatown Then, Chinatown Now. And I took the epigraph from D. Hobsbawm Smith poem, Curatives for Morning Sickness. And the epigraph is beat raw mango, cooked with curry leaves, collect hand-ground stardust, harvested in the outer Nepal. Vancouver's Chinatown once thrived with dim sum, restaurants, shops selling liquor. I once bought a chen sum. Today's Chinatown is not the one I used to know. The streets are more quiet, stores have changed owners. During COVID, business was slow. Eat raw mango. Sip chrysanthemum tea. I recently heard about historical walking tours, the Chinese-Canadian Museum. Recent Chinatown events has helped to increase foot traffic, revitalize business. Through these cultural events, we can learn to achieve cook with curry leaves. Other large cities do not have a significant Chinatown. I am proud that we have ours. We could invite school groups to learn about the heritage here for Chinatown's future. We must, as a community, try to continue to work and collaborate together, even if it's to just collect hand-ground stardust. To stay connected, to be inclusive, Light Up Chinatown was a meaningful event. Chinatown restaurants were open to serve congee, food stores to buy live cheese. Progress has been made of painting over any graffiti harvested in the outer Nepal. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. All right. All right, next we have MSHB. MSHB, is there somebody by that name? Or? They left. Oh, okay. All right. Well, then I think we will then go with our second of our two features. All right. Beth Copeland is the author of Selfie with Cherry, Lyre Press 2022, Blue Honey 2017 Dogfish Head Poetry Prize winner, Transcendental Telemarketer, BlazeVOX 2012, and Traveling Through Glass 1999 Bright Hill Press Poetry Book Award winner. She owns and operates Tiny Cabin, Big Ideas, a retreat for writers in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Welcome, Beth Copeland.
Thank you so much, Greg. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. And thank you, Clara, for this beautiful space. Thank you for inviting me, Greg. And César, thank you for making this happen. The family connection is that César and my beloved Paul are cousins. And so, this is how this all happened, and I'm really excited to be here. I'm going to read from 3 of my books, and the first one is my book called Transcendental Telemarketer, which has a picture of a very ghostly looking telephone on it. And the first book in the poem is called Still Alive with One Apple. From earliest memory, one apple in a bowl, predating speech, spores of sunlight floating on air like pollen from the garden of Hesperides. In childhood, I wanted everything in pairs, animals entering Noah's Ark 2 by 2, the symmetry of hand in hand, bride and groom. I thought the apple needed another apple, or at least the company of an orange or pear, that the apple was lonely, that everything, even an apple in a bowl, had a soul. Was it wrong to believe that the apple could suffer and bleed, to project my own needs onto that fruit, to believe only a membrane of matter and speed separates blood from stone and bone from apple seed? To see the apple as a symbol of the universal soul, as in Georgia O'Keeffe's Green Apple on Black Plate, a study in simplicity. Still life with an empty bowl. I ate the apple to make it whole. There's a little story that goes with that poem. When I started writing it, I wrote it as a series of couplets, which made sense because it's about all these things being in pairs. But I couldn't come up with two lines at the end that worked together. And so I put the poem away, and it wasn't until after I had gone through a divorce that I realized it's okay to break a pattern, you don't have to stick with it. So I think that's an example of how sometimes our art informs our life, or our life informs our art, either way. Now the next one I'm going to read, I like to say before I read it that it's important to remember that the speaker in the poem is not necessarily the poet. My life as a slut. Age 6. A boy finds a penny on the playground. He says he'll give it to me if I go in a closet, take off all my clothes, and let him look. My sister says, don't, but I do it anyway. Age 21. My mother calls me a harlot, Jezebel, and strumpet after I stay out all night with my boyfriend. I roll my eyes and say, if we're going to have this conversation, at least update your vocabulary. The word is slut. Age 16. A teacher tells me to kneel in the girls' bathroom. Am I supposed to pray for forgiveness? I get sent home from school because my skirt doesn't touch the floor. Age 27. I walk down the aisle in an off-white satin dress. It's snowing, and the next day I lose my voice. Age 20. I have sex with 3 different men in 1 week. I write their names on my calendar in wisteria blue ink. Age 10. At recess, I tell Tommy Faircloth, I'm going to be a stripper when I grow up. Tommy tattles to the teacher, who scolds him and says, I'm a good girl. I would never say a terrible thing like that. Age 32. A man at my college reunion tells me a lot of other girls in our class were sluttier than I was. I feel like a failure. Age 23. I fall in love with a Vietnam vet who plays guitar and writes bad poetry. I sleep with him on the first date. He dumps me for a frumpy girl who waits until the second date. Age 9. I'm walking down the sidewalk wearing short shorts, and a teenage boy leans out a car window and yells, call me when you're 16. Age 30. I buy a bar of Saints and Sinners soap in New Orleans, and my husband says it's a ripoff. Age 18. I get drunk at a party and lose my virginity. The next morning, hot water runs down my thighs in a stream of silver and blood. Age 5. I'm afraid of dogs, strangers, and the dark. Shadows cast by tree branches and leaves on the bedroom wall look like the devil's face. Do I hear footsteps in the stairwell? I'm afraid I'll die in my sleep. I know I'm going to hell. Now for something completely different. My other book, this one is called Blue Honey, and it's written about the dementia of my parents before they died. And the first one I'll read is about my father. And I should probably tell you that my parents were missionaries, therefore, the devil's face. I grew up in a very religious household, and so we lived in all over the world. I was born in Japan, and this poem really comes from a trip that my dad took back to the U.S., and my mother had to travel all by herself with 4 little girls. Escape artist. No one believed the old man could escape with a wander guard strapped to his wrist like Houdini's handcuffs. Hunched at the glass door, from beneath hooded eyelids, he watches nurses punch codes to lift the latch. Once they found him at a gas station across the street in a wheelchair, waving as they wheeled him back. A janitor found him on a landing after he pulled himself down a steep flight. The staff called his escapes elopements, as if he's running off with a bride, instead of leaving a locked Alzheimer's wing. He believes Mother and I sleep in the room next door, and the nursing home's a hotel. A master of the art of escape, he left her to cross the ocean with 4 little girls, while he took a whirlwind trip around the globe, sending postcards from Singapore, Jordan, Switzerland, and a green taffeta dress from Paris she never wore. Watch him escape from this riveted trunk, breaking chains, unlocking all locks, that sneaky, sweet, old son of a fox. And now one for my mother, and the title is Kintsugi. Mother's Japanese friends send cards she forgets to open. Prints of blonde birds flying over turquoise waves. Pine branches burdened with snow. Her mailbox stuffed with letters and junk. I slice into an envelope and pluck a handwritten note from Kinko-san. I have not heard from you. I am worried. You are so old. Mother snorts. She's almost as old as I am. And we laugh at what's lost in translation. She forgets bills, to brush her teeth or swallow her thyroid pills and Lipitor, but remembers Kinko-san from long ago. Should I write to say you're okay? I'll do it later, but she won't. She stares at a maple for hours when I'm not here, her hair a corona of uncombed dandelion seeds. Should I laugh or cry? Like a broken bowl mended with molten gold, she's more beautiful than before. hold her in the heart of my heart, where she's whole. And just one more short one from this book. And this is probably as close to a prayer as I get. Dear omniscient narrator, please don't let me linger in the ellipses of dementia and disease, murmuring goodbye again and again to family and friends. Write a simple sentence with a period at the end. Just wanted to say, this is from my most recent book called Selfie with Cherry. But before I start reading, I just want to say how much I appreciated hearing everyone else's work. The glossa, that's such an interesting form. And the shift from crops to craps to cups, you know, there's just so much in your work that I found exciting. The narrative poems, too. So this poem was written during a time, this book was written during a time when I was going through a divorce and also was dealing with my alcoholism, which I have more than 4 years now. So you may hear some things in these poems that reference that. The first poem that I'm going to read is called Second Wife. 15 years ago, I drove south to see you as trees broke into bloom. Redbuds, pears, dogwoods, and my heart unfolded like a bud closed too long in the cold. Later, I moved into a log cabin built when you were still married to a woman with chestnut hair that spilled around her shoulders as she knelt in the dirt, as if in prayer, planting dozens of bulbs on the edge of woods. Sometimes I wished we didn't live where her daffodils burst yellow and green, worthy of Wordsworth's ode, along a ditch beside the gravel road, a reminder of the life you'd shared with her. I wished I'd never seen the wooden box with recipes written in her hand on faded index cards. Tomato and basil rigatoni, Amish bread, blueberry cobbler, and the wedding photographs stashed face down in the drawer of a bedside chest. I wished you'd never told me about the rugs she wove on a loom in our bedroom. I wished she hadn't left that green down-filled vest from LL Bean in the hall closet. It's not my style, I said, when you offered it to me. It looks like a life jacket. As I slipped it on, I hoped it wouldn't fit. I was tired of living in a house with your ex-wife's ghost. So sick of it. As I zipped it up, you said, "It's perfect." Two more poems. Divorce. A tree with twin trunks entwined reminds me of us wanting to grow old together, skin to skin, bowl to bowl, heart to heart, halves of the same whole. Known as gemels, from the Latin word meaning a pair. Did their trunks fuse into one? Or did one sapling split in two, like twin flames sprung from one soul? Tomorrow I'll sign the papers, but today I study the branches, how they overlap and bend, sharing shade and light. Where does one tree start and the other one end? And this is the last one. Don't think it couldn't happen to you. You could end up in a motel room with a neon no vacancy sign in the window, or in a cheap studio apartment sleeping on a blow-up bed. Don't think of it as failure. Instead, think of it as rebirth, like a phoenix rises from flames, or a snake leaves its skin behind. Maybe your flesh is too tight now that you've grown, or maybe you needed to burn down to nothing but feathers and bones before you could fly.
One more hand for Beth Copeland, please.
That's two wonderful features. Okay, we have some more people for the open mic, and I don't know if anyone who'd like to read hasn't signed up. There's a sign up sheet over here, so please put your name there. Next up, we have Alice Rogoff, followed by Sarah Menifee.
Really fortunate to hear Beth Copeland read and César and everyone else here. This is called The Child. How empty the arms when the child is gone, the child is gone. How round the jug, how fast the river, the water filling and never filling. How mild the sadness when the little laugh returns inside us, returns to the heart, returns coiled and wet for the child, the child. Mother's Sonata, where Beethoven played tentatively. The collection was a wedding gift, displayed irregularly, retrieved every few months or once a year from under other books. Her hands, she says, are stiff, but they appear to be strong, wide hands, gripping. Her Europe was genteel but poor. Vienna in the 1920s, when her parents lived there. Here equality foreshadowing what was to come in the 30s, importing and exporting, that was her childhood. Later, her marriage brought her a piano and sheaves of music from before the war. Glen Park. The coyote in Glen Park has been tricking the rest of us. She lives in the city, yet in a canyon that rises above an underground stream that fools the concrete. The coyote, like an invisible apparition, we receive warnings, and we do not see her, but at dawn or twilight might catch her shadow. She cares for her pups hidden in the dead. She has found a home where many are homeless. She may howl at the moon on foggy nights, calling it out behind the leaves. Her tracks are parallel to mine. Can I hear her steps? She climbs the red and purple nasturtium-covered canyon's walls. She sees us. We do not see her. We have been waiting for each other, as elusive as an oxymoron in the city canyon. I'll do one more. Dolores Park. Where have the congas in Dolores Park gone? I was living above the park, drummer's hands sending beats through an open window from a park named for sorrow, the old Jewish cemetery where the earthquake fires stopped. The drums and unlawful language ones, dawn foggy voices of African, Spanish, Sephardim, sounds of the mission slipping away like the underground creek, buried. One day the conga players stopped playing in Dolores Park, but I hear them in my memory, the rhythms carried through an open window.
Sarah Menefee is our next poet, followed by Alan Harris and David Blake.
Sorry. What a wonderful day. What beautiful voices. I have two new people for my fantasy anthology I'm always publishing in my head. These two beautiful features today. So I'm going to read the last three things I've written. Last 3 days. There were two large beds, one with a yellow and one with a black bedspread, in the motel of my dream. I was pleased I could spend some boring time there. Were you going to join me? How very strange that two people with no connection shared the same exact genes. No one could figure it out. I woke from that dream. You were ready to take off to the gym. How strange that two such different beings in so many ways could share a small space, and friendships, affections, in life's amazing dream. Let's see, I've lost the third one. Let's see if I can find it here. It's not here. All right, it's lost for one moment. Thank you.
All right, up next we have the remarkable Alan Harris.
Thank you. Sorry, I have to change devices. This has never happened in anyone. I want to be the weather. I have wanted to be the weather ever since I was in the 3rd grade, and I was caught in a particularly fierce storm as I walked home from school one day, and there was something deeply profound about the way that the rain and the wind and the thunder and the lightning charged up my little 8-year-old mind and made me feel alive in a way that I was sure nothing else ever would. And so the next day, when my teacher went around the room and asked each one of us what we wanted to be when we grew up, I said, without hesitation, "I want to be the weather." And she said, "You mean that you want to be a weather man?" It's called a meteorologist. And I said, I know what a meteorologist is, you condescending adult. And no, I don't mean that I want to be a weatherman. I mean that I want to be the actual weather. I want to be the rain and the wind and the thunder and the lightning. I want to be the temperature and the precipitation and the atmospheric pressure. I want to be a tornado and a hurricane and a blizzard and a polar vortex and a bomb cyclone. I want to be the atmospheric river that dumps tons of water on a big urban city. I want to be the strong icy winds whipping through some farm belt region. I want to destroy some areas and bring life to others. Create chaos some of the time and tranquility at other times. I want to be prayed to and about. I want sacrifices to be made in order to appease me. I want to be embodied by Greek gods. And she said, that is not normal. You're not supposed to want to be the weather when you grow up. You're 8 years old. You're supposed to want to be a policeman or a fireman or like little Billy here who says that when he grows up, he wants to be an astronaut. Now that is normal. And I said, yeah, let me tell you something about little Billy. He's a nose-picking, bed-wetting, paste-eating little insect who, if he lives to be 100, will never, in all that time, be able to even learn how to spell the word astronaut, let alone become one. So if that is normal, then color me proudly, defiantly, ferociously abnormal. And you can bring on your armies of child psychologists brandishing their mood stabilizers and their theories on how to force an adolescent square peg into an adolescent round hole. Nothing will deter me from my desire to be the weather. And I know I may only be 8 years old, but I'm no fool. I'm no little Billy. I know that I cannot in any way possible ever actually be the weather. But don't you see, dear teacher, it is my desire to be the weather that is the point, that courses through me like a second life force imbuing my every thought and movement. Can't you understand that? Can't you relate? Haven't you ever wanted to be something other than human? And her face changed then, taking on an expression not just of concern, not just of confusion, not just of mere disquiet. It was an expression of genuine fear. And it was then that I realized I had gone too far, that I had revealed more about myself than this chubby, bespectacled, middle-aged, middling, suburbanite educator could possibly cope with from one of her little 8-year-old charges. Her limited mind simply could not handle it. And I vowed then and there to speak of my unusual ambition only to those who I thought possessed not just the intellect, but also the courage to process it and accept it for what it is. And hey, don't get me wrong, I see the necessity for policemen and firemen and astronauts, and yes, even the little Billies of the world. I just want to be the weather. Thank you.
And I see we have David Blake. Is there anyone else who would like to? Inga. Yes. All right. All right.
This is a poem by Ingeborg Bachmann, who wrote in the 40s and 50s, Austrian writer. And it's called Fogland. It's hard to translate Bachmann because she writes beautiful German and you just can't possibly do a great job. But it's pretty good. In winter, my lover is one of the forest animals. The fox knows I must return by morning and laughs. How the clouds tremble on my snow collar falls a handful of brittle ice. In winter, my lover is one of the trees, inviting the lucklorn crows to nest in her lovely branches. She knows that the wind at dusk lifts the starched, frost-covered evening skirt and hunts me home. In winter, my lover is one of the voiceless fish, enslaved by the waters, stroked from within by the thread of her moving fin. I stand on the bank and watch till the ice floes drive me away, how she dives and turns. And hearing again the hunting call of the bird whose wings flap sharply above me, I fall in an open field. She plucks hens and tosses me a white collarbone. I hang it around my neck and walk off through the bitter down. Faithless is my lover. I know she sometimes slips off on high heels into town. In bars, she kisses glasses deep in her mouth with a straw and finds something to say to everyone in a language utterly foreign to me. Fogland I have seen, Fogheart I have eaten.
And Inga, one of the climbing staff.
Hi, I'm doing it for Japan. That's it. Thank you. I just really like colored pens. So I'm from Russia, and there was like a poem box in Russia when we started. I'm not afraid. I'm not red. So I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna have a little poem by one of Russia's most important poets of 20th century, and I'm gonna tell it in Russian first, and then in English. And it's about. I would say that it's kind of like sarcastic, but also serious. Well, you'll see. Joseph Brodsky. Yeah, it's called "Don't Leave the Room." Не выходи из комнаты, не совершай ошибку. Зачем тебе солнце, если ты куришь шипку? За дверью бессмысленно все, особенно возглас счастья. Только в уборную сразу же возвращайся. О, не выходи из комнаты, не вызывай мотора, потому что пространство сделано из коридора и кончается счетчиком. А если войдет живая милка, пасть разевая, выгони, не раздевая. Не выходи из комнаты, считай, что тебя продуло. Что интереснее на свете стены и стула? Зачем выходить оттуда, куда вернешься вечером, таким же, каким ты был, тем более изувеченным? О, не выходи из комнаты, танцуй, поймав босоногу, пальто на голое тело, в туфлях на босу ногу, в прихожей пахнет капустой и мазью лишней. Ты написал много букв, еще одна будет лишней. Не выходи из комнаты, о, пускай только комната догадывается, как ты выглядишь, и вообще инкогнито. Эрго сум, как заметила в форме в сердцах субстанция. Не выходи из комнаты, на улице, чай не Франция, не будь дураком, будь тем, чем другие не были. Не выходи из комнаты, то есть дай волю мебели, слейся лицом с обоями, запрись и забаррикадируйся шкафом от Хроноса, космоса, Эроса, расы и вируса. Don't leave the room, don't blunder, do not go on. If you're smoking shipka, what good is the sun? Outside, all is meaningless, especially the cry of joy. To the lavatory and back straight away, old boy. Oh, don't leave the room, don't call for a cab, my friend. Because space is a corridor that will end with a meter. And if your dear, delight expressing, walks inside, kick her out without undressing. Don't leave the room, pretend that you have a cold. 4 walls and a chair entice like nothing else in the world. Why leave the place that you'll surely return to late in the night, as you were, only more mutilated? Oh, don't leave the room, enchanted, dance bossa nova, in shoes worn bare feet, in a coat draped over your naked body that whole reeks of ski wax and cabbage. You've ridden a lot, more would be extra baggage. Don't leave the room, let only the room imagine a little what you might look like. And besides, incognito, ergo sum, as form itself learned from substance once. Don't leave the room. Outside you will not find friends. Don't be a fool. Be what others were. Remain. don't leave the room. Let the furniture have free rein. Blend in with wallpaper, bolt the door, barricade the place with a dresser from Cronus, Cosmos, Eros, Virus, Race. The most important part.
Of course.
A pink.
All right, there you go. Is there anyone here who hasn't had a chance to read, who would like to read? Okay, we have a little more time, so is there anyone who has already read, who has something else they just want to share with us? Some other little piece that we need to hear today? It's gotta be somebody. Alan, all right. I believe David has something also.
There's time.
Oh, and Bernard. Okay, good.
Yeah, I was had the honor of being one of the features last month, and there was a piece I wanted to read that, but I ran out of time, so I was just lay that on you. I'm a little man, a small, insignificant, microscopic, minuscule, granular speck of a man. I'm the beard stubble on a hologram. I'm a dead guy's imaginary friend. I'm steam that has phoned it in. I am the waste product of a fictional character from a novel that no one has ever read. I'm a nowhere man, I'm less than zero, I'm nothing. I get my protein from dead celebrities. I wander through minefields looking for an ice machine. I sit at the back of the bus with skateboard gypsies while ordained, chain-smoking cellular carnivores hover above us, asking God to bless the closed-circuit mobility which each night escorts us back to our pastel poverty, where empty swimming pools try to steal our souls and adolescent billboards spin around in circles, throwing their acid flashback coloring books at each other and scaring my frail spinster of a television set, whose anxiety disorder manifests itself in electronic pulses which blurt out images of robots who go to the gym and who could stand in the middle of an apocalypse and not get their hair mussed, and who have air conditioners where their souls should be, and who are locked into a synchronized sterility as they push an agenda of synthetic snooze alarm carnality, and who are living proof that if you smirk too much, your face will just stay like that. They never blink as they tell of buildings that are frightened, and of grains of sand that whisper prayers, and of the shifting perspectives of an hysterical ant farm in which sirens are redundant. They make me afraid to leave my apartment for fear of tripping over the stealth penises and evangelical carbohydrates of the celestial wholesaler. So I push through flashes of backlit reality, searching for punctual poets who will give me 5 minutes. But all I find are politicians who smell like Mel Gibson and remind me that America is on its 8th sequel. Instead of weapons, they bust out guitars and launch into a food chain instrumental. Well, everywhere I go, TV reminds me that the only ones who matter are the edited and the shaped and the hyped, who revel in LA freeway suicide ecstasy and bark at liberal seamen and use world leaders to pick their teeth, while I am just a consumer whose raw footage existence is of no importance because it's trumped by mutant Bible study partisans who just want to blow stuff up. So I get in my car and drive north out of town at 110 per, leaving behind the patriotic bath towels and the Orwellian stand-up comedy and the perpetually winking punk rock and the kindergarten revisionists and the stuttering peace signs and the questions that breathe like rabbits and the rabid, thuggish mental patients with book deals and the armies of effervescently genetically modified voters and the sad and the scared and the beaten and the bloodied and the dead. I weave back and forth and in and out from lane to lane, still trying to cross the line between personal rage and public outrage as the occasional curious helicopter reminds me that the only real power is in privacy. And eventually I reach the desert where the only sign of life is a motel, which greets me with a bed and a bath and a radio that only plays songs from the past. I lay down and close my eyes, trying to think of ways to save the other planet Earth, but I can't because my head hurts. And all I want to do is fall asleep, curled up next to someone who agrees with me.
David?
Sorry, I'm having such trouble reading this, but I'm getting cataract surgery in 3 weeks. This is another poem by Bachman about her brother. It's called The Game is Over. The Spiel is aus. My dear brother, when will we build a raft to float down the sky on? My dear brother, soon our load will be so heavy that we'll sink. My dear brother, onto paper we'll draw many countries and tracks. Watch out for the black lines or you'll fly sky high with the landmines. My dear brother, I want to be tied to a stake and scream. Already you ride out of Death Valley, and together we will flee. On guard in the gypsy camp, on guard in the desert camp, the sand streams from our hair. Your age and my age and the age of the world cannot be measured in years. Don't be deceived by cunning ravens, sticky spiders' hands, and the feather in the bush. Don't eat and drink in a fool's paradise. Illusion gleams in pans and mugs. Only he who by the golden bridge still remembers the name for the Carfunkel ferry has won. I must tell you that it melted after the last snow in the garden. Many, many stones have made our feet so sore one can heal. We will use it to jump with until the children's king, with the key to his kingdom in his mouth, comes for us, and then we will sing. It's a beautiful moment when the date pit sprouts. Each one that falls has wings. Red foxglove fringes the shroud of the poor, and your Parnassia sinks onto my seal. We must go to sleep, darling. The game is over. On tiptoe. The white shirts swell. Father and mother say there are ghosts in the house when we exchange breath.
Thank you.
I don't know where she went, but thank you for the Russian poem of Trotsky. Always loved the Russian poets. Ever since I heard that they, in Russia, they're like rock stars. And that just, when I was young, I heard that. It just never left me. This one is called Romance and the Alchemical Retort, or I'm in love with the automated teller. I have a crush on the automated teller. It tells me never lend money to friends or enemies. I fall in love with a ravenous scream. My fingertips touch its keys. It tells me to insert my plastic. French kiss its magnetic strip. It offers me choices. Would I like it to tally my bananas? It goes plastic out, bananas out. Pavlov's dog, one big bunch has the black tarantula. I'm bewitched under the midnight glow of its security lamps, whispering in my ear. No, I'm whispering in my ear, your enemy is your friend. I ask it, will it pay my parking tickets? It replies, would you like another transaction? Do you have any other questions concerning the price of bananas? Business is business. Please don't get personal. Everything is peeled away. Money doesn't grow on trees. Bananas do. Oh, I'm a fool in love. I'm smitten with automated teller. It goes plastic out and then comes out parking tickets. bananas, perfume, and dead presidents, along with a receipt. I wonder if it is male or female. What does it look like, naked? I blush before its magic, stare at its temple. The bank teller tallies my bananas, distills breath into devotion, turns tar water into perfume like an alchemist, and tantalizingly tells me just what my exact balance is. It sends me love letters with 5 pages of disclaimers, starting with never lend bananas to friends or enemies. Bananas are only for monkeys. And a credit card contract stating it reserves the right to eat my plastic and yours too. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, my name is Sharonda Quetzalcoatl. I attended 2 rallies for Gaza. The second rally, they said that they will not kill for land, but that they will die for land. So I wrote this in Spanish. So it's only 5 short lines, and then I want to translate it to English. Y esos niños que no decidieron su destino, no merecen ellos ellas vivir. And those small children who did not decide their destiny, don't they deserve to decide their destiny? And I'm a communist. I always believe in Stalin. Jack Kushner loves Stalin. There's a book he writes about in his last arcanes, available to Lulu. And for the first time after attending these 2 marches and marching and listening to the speeches, I doubted Stalin. I doubted his ideals. But when they said that about they would die for the land, how important the land is, and they will always be Palestinians, I wrote the poem. How about the children? Israel has killed more children than all the children they've killed in past wars combined.
Is there anyone else who would like to share any last words? Okay, well, that being said, I want to thank you all for coming out this afternoon. And I'd like to thank our 2 features, César Love and Beth Copeland. Again, thank all the open mic readers, thank all the people who came to support the poets. Next month, we will have Shizway Siegel and Kim Shuck will be the 2 features. Kim Shuck is a former poet laureate of San Francisco. And Shizway Siegel is a very well-known editor in this city. So come back, please. Bring your friends. Tell everybody. Thank you to Clara, to the Clarion